She doesn't fall in love with you. She falls in love with the story she can tell herself about you. You feel that with your woman, don't you? That flicker in her eyes, the spark, that sense that you're being seen, maybe even chosen. But if you're honest with yourself, it's not you she's seeing. Not really. It's something beyond you, an idea, a possibility, a projection. It feels like love. It feels powerful, but it's not. It's a script, and you're being cast subtly, silently, as a role she's been rehearsing in her mind long before she met you. And that is one of the most dangerous illusions a man can fall under. Carl Jung didn't flinch at this truth. He didn't soften it to protect your feelings. He didn't try to make it sound romantic. He handed you a mirror, cold, honest, unforgiving. And when you look into it, really look, you don't just see her projection. You see your own reflection bending to fit it. You see the performance you agreed to, the smile, the silence, the slow, invisible surrender of your authenticity. And maybe, just maybe, you realize it was never love that held you there. It was the hope that her fantasy might one day become your reality. But fantasies aren't built to last. And when they fall apart, what's left isn't just her disappointment. It's your awakening. She doesn't see you. Not really. She sees what you might become, what she hopes you'll become. And in those early moments, you feel chosen, desired, important, like you've been given a role in something meaningful. But you haven't been invited into her truth. You've been drafted into her story. It starts quietly. The way she praises your potential, the way she looks at you, not for who you are, but for who you might be if you commit, if you provide, if you behave, if you play the part right. You think it's love, but it's a performance contract. You feel connection, but what you're feeling is the warmth of being useful to her fantasy. And she's been dreaming that dream since she was a little girl, of the man who arrives not as he is, but as the solution to every unmet need. So she scans you. She doesn't listen for your soul. She listens for your potential. She filters your words through the screenplay already written in her unconscious. And here's the twist most men miss. You're not special. You're available. Available to play a part. You confuse this casting with connection. But deep down, a quiet part of you knows it's not you she loves. It's the role. And the moment you stop performing, the moment you fall out of character, she doesn't rewrite the story. She finds a new actor. It hurts. But that pain, it's not betrayal. It's revelation. You thought you were being loved, but you were being imagined. And here's where it gets harder, because this isn't just about her. The deeper question is this: why did you agree to the role? Why did you smile when you felt the mask being placed on your face? Until you answer that, you'll keep repeating the same scene, just with different actresses. Because this isn't just her projection, it's your permission. So what is it that casts you in these roles? What is it behind her eyes, scripting a movie you didn't audition for? Jung gave it a name: the animus. It's the inner masculine inside every woman, a psychological force, a voice. When matured, it gives her clarity, reason, strength. But when it's unconscious, undeveloped, it becomes a tyrant, a ghost inside her psyche. Not a man, but a fantasy of one. An archetype stitched together from childhood wounds, cultural myths, and emotional hunger. And here's the truth most men don't want to face. When she speaks from that place, she's not speaking to you. She's speaking to the version of you that her unconscious created. And you're not arguing with her. You're arguing with a director in her mind. You feel confused, blamed, criticized for things you didn't say, reactions you didn't cause, failures you don't understand. That's because you're not dealing with her. You're dealing with the animus, possessive, moralizing, self-righteous. It doesn't want love. It wants control. It wants certainty. A man who never falters, never doubts, never makes her feel unsafe, even in her own emotions. She's not punishing you for your actions. She's punishing you for not living up to the God her inner voice demands. And the most terrifying part? She doesn't even know she's doing it. She believes she's being clear, emotional, honest. But the truth is, she's in a trance, held captive by an image of what a man should be. And every time you fall short, she punishes you. Not as a man, but as a failed ideal. And again, this isn't about blaming her. This is about seeing clearly. Because until you recognize this projection for what it is, you will internalize every critique as a personal flaw. You will try harder, apologize more, shrink yourself to survive. And in doing so, you stop being a man and start becoming a character. But no woman, no matter how unconscious, can possess a man who has seen this clearly. Because the moment you recognize it's not you she's relating to, you begin to detach, not with bitterness, but with truth. You stay because you think you've been chosen. And something about that lights up something ancient in you. The boy inside who never felt seen. The man still waiting for approval he doesn't want to admit he needs. To be chosen. It feels like proof. Proof that you matter. That you're enough. That all the silent effort to become a good man wasn't wasted. But Jung whispers from the shadows, being chosen isn't love. It's casting. And the moment you accept the role, you lose the right to be yourself. Because now, your value isn't rooted in your essence. It's tied to your performance. So you begin to shift, not because she demands it, but because you crave her affirmation. You mold, you bend, you adapt. Piece by piece, you chip away at the parts of you she didn't clap for, until one day the mask you wear starts to feel like skin, comfortable, convincing, but not you. And here's the cruel twist. Even if you perform it perfectly, it's never enough. Not because you failed the role, but because the role was never based in reality to begin with. When the mask slips, and it always does, she won't blame the mask. She'll blame you. For changing, for disappointing her, for no longer being the man she thought you were. But that man never existed. He was a mirror, polished to reflect back the image she needed to see. And the tragedy? You knew it. Somewhere deep inside, you knew. But you stayed. Not because you were deceived, but because part of you needed to be chosen. And until you confront that need, you'll keep seeking women to choose you and resenting them when they realize they didn't choose you at all. Just the character you agreed to become. You don't wear the mask because she asked you to. You wear it because you were afraid of what would happen if you didn't. There comes a moment, quiet, often unbearable, when the illusion collapses. The role you played, the mask you wore, the man you tried to become for her, crumbles. And in that silence, no one claps. There's no comfort, no approval, no rescue, just you, and the ashes of who you thought you needed to be. This is where Jung's work turns brutal. He called it individuation, the process of becoming whole, not by adding, but by stripping away, not by seeking others, but by facing yourself, especially The parts you've buried, your fears, your weakness, your rage, your need to be seen. Every man wants to be wanted. Few want to meet the man inside the want, because what lives there is terrifying. It's the boy who was overlooked, the son who felt invisible, the lover who kept performing just to feel needed. You were taught to search for worth in her smile, her body, her approval, to shape yourself into whatever would be desirable. But a man isn't born from being desired. He is born the moment he no longer needs to be. That's where liberation begins. When you stop adjusting, stop explaining, stop trying to earn a place in someone else's fantasy, and you turn inward, not as an escape, but as a confrontation, because the real you, the one beneath the mask, has been waiting, watching, wondering how long you'd choose applause over authenticity. You want to know what power is? It's not dominance, not control, not being wanted. It's the quiet, rooted presence of a man who no longer performs, a man who stands in his own soul, even if no one is watching, because he's done pretending. He doesn't need to be chosen. He chooses himself. Something changes when you stop performing, not just in you, but in what you draw toward you. When you become whole, projection dies. Not because others stop projecting, but because you no longer offer a surface for it to stick. You're no longer a mirror for their fantasy. You're just a man, present, rooted, real. And suddenly, the women who once pursued you for your promise begin to fall away, because there's nothing left for them to mold. No mask, no myth, just presence. And then, if she comes, it's different. She doesn't try to define you, doesn't try to edit you. She meets you where you are, because she's done the work too. She has seen her own shadow. She has confronted her animus. She no longer needs you to play God. She doesn't need to be completed. She's not looking for a savior. She's looking for a mirror of truth, clear, quiet, and conscious. And that changes everything. Because now, there are no roles, no performances, no unconscious contracts. You don't need her to validate your worth. And she doesn't need you to carry her soul. You're not two halves trying to become whole. You are two whole beings, choosing each other without need, without fantasy, without fear. That is mature love. It doesn't shout. It doesn't chase. It doesn't bind or beg or break. It walks, side by side. No scripts, no illusions, only truth. If something in this spoke to you, don't just let it fade. Sit with it. Let it sting. Let it shine. And if it cracked something open, don't scroll past. Comment below. I stop performing. Mark the moment. Claim your edge. Then send this to a brother still trapped in the illusion. The one still bending, still molding, still hoping to be enough in someone else's dream. Don't let him waste another year as a character in a play that was never his. You were never meant to be chosen. You were meant to choose yourself. Again and again. Until there is no mask left to wear. Only the truth of who you are.